But next time, perhaps Pakistan could bring in their allies, maybe partner up with China. They already do that, but in a more
China
of
was
an
working.
upfront level.
China was working on a real-time basis in providing targeting information to the Pakistanis to hit India. Of
Oh,
that, there's no
really?
doubt. They were servicing Pakistani J-10 aircraft. The SCMP, which is an extremely credible
Yeah.
publication, the South China Morning Post out of Hong Kong, in just the last couple of weeks,
Hmm.
came out with an article which spoke about, which was quoting Pakistani engineers, talking about how Chinese engineers talking about how these Chinese engineers were servicing Pakistani aircraft,
Hmm.
which the Chinese aircraft, the built in China aircraft, which were used in these attacks. So their engineers were on the ground.
Hmm.
They were providing the most likely satellite data as well.
Hmm.
And what was interesting was when those ceasefire talks did take place on the 10th of May last year, um, our deputy chief mentioned, I think, in a press conference or in a talk, not press conference, in a talk of his own, that the Pakistanis seem to have very specific information about the location of particular vectors, in other words, Indian weapon systems.
Hmm.
And our people were thinking, how do they know this? Because
Hmm.
they don't have satellites of their own, at
Hmm.
least we don't believe they do, which could have this very specific real time knowledge or relatively real time knowledge of the location of particular assets. But on that ceasefire table, they obviously knew. And the sense is they knew because they were being told by the Chinese.
Do you think US was also involved in this, or it came very
Well, the
later?
US was involved to the extent that they certainly, Vice President J.D. Vance was in touch with the Prime Minister. On the 9th of June, 9th of May last year,
Hmm.
he called up the Prime Minister and repeatedly said that the Pakistanis, according to US information, were willing to step up the attacks and do something much bigger. So perhaps we preemptively hit them very hard, which is what we did when we took out all of those air bases.
Yeah. And specifically, I quickly wanted to talk about the narrative part of this as well, because you are yourself a journalist. You see this on daily basis, Vishnu. Pakistan, no matter what they were doing here, of course, we had a very big upper hand here. But when it comes to supplying narrative, these guys have made it like you mentioned, whether it is you use fake satellite images, you use deep fakes, you use your press so called and tell that you आपने इतने रफाल गिरा दिया, आपने वो कर दिया, हम दिल्ली आने वाले. All these kinds of narratives that you see Pakistan was trying to build. But
The,
on the other hand, for India, that was coming very late. So you take a New York Times will be posting that Pakistan shot down a Rafale, but they won't discuss what we are discussing here. So I'm shocked to see why this negative narrative of India is out there in the world.
Look, modern warfare is what fought.
Hmm.
Can I just tell you this interesting story? In 1965, when the war took place, there was a Pakistani general who said that, I'll be having lunch at the Delhi Gymkhana Club after the war started. But I don't know why that came to mind. But I think modern warfare, to answer your question, is fought in virtual reality, which is all
Hmm.
this rubbish that you see on Twitter, and claims which are made, and bizarre claims which are made,
Hmm.
and the actual war fighting, which is very separate. For me, I wrote this book not to get into any narrative game, but only to report the war as I saw it. The Pakistanis play the narrative game. They've got their domestic audience to sort of assuage and to
Hmm.
explain to and convince that, Pakistan has won the war. But I think on the basis of my own studies and my independent corroboration of the hits of the
Hmm.
Indian Air Force on Pakistani targets, that those claims are not true at all.